Celery is a fun addition to any garden, and once you learn how to grow celery, you're going to want to grow it every year. Today I'd like to share with you how I start my celery seeds and what varieties I like to grow and how to get them ready for the garden, and a few hints on where to grow them when you get to the garden. So this planting method works for all celery varieties. I started growing celery in my garden about 20 years ago, and I also grow celery over the winter in my greenhouse. And I harvest the outer leaves and leave the center to continue to grow all season long. And the celery that is homegrown is so flavorful and easy to grow if you know just a few tricks. So celery comes in green, and then there's a red variety that is green with a little blush of red on the stalk. I grow a green variety named Tango, and it's performed really well for me. Now, celery is considered a tender perennial, so it will take a frost, but not a hard freeze. It does transplant well so that we can start it early in the house. And here is my 5-step process to getting celery seeds planted and ready to be planted in the garden. All right, so number 1 is start time. It's important to start the plants at the right time. Too early and then we get leggy and weak, and too late and you may not get a crop. So start time will vary depending on your growing zone. So look up your last average frost date and then count back 10 weeks. So for example, my last average frost date is May 15th, and 10 weeks back will be around the 1st of March. This is when I start my celery seeds. All right, number 2 is plant the seeds in a small planting tray or a pot using seedling soil mix. The reason we want to use a seedling soil starter mix is because some of the seeds are sensitive to fertilizers and will not germinate. This is very important to our celery because it takes so long to germinate. Now we have our family secret seedling soil mix recipe. It's available to you. I'll put the link in the description below for you to get it. And if you want to buy a pre-made mix, I would use the Seed Starter Natural Potting Soil Mix. It's made in the USA. And it's what the professional growers use. I'll put a link in the description below for you to find the seedling starter mix. All right, celery seeds are very, 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 very tiny, and what I'll do is put in my soil mix, and then I just place the seeds on top. Don't put any soil over the top of them. And I will sow about 50 seeds to get about 8 plants. Now I use 2 plants per person. This is a good number to grow. And if you're going to freeze or dehydrate celery, then 3 plants per person is a good number to grow. Now these seeds, they require light to germinate. That's one reason not to put any soil on top of them. So after I put the seeds on top of the soil in my tray, I'm then going to bottom soak the tray instead of watering it over the top. All right, so once you got your seeds in, they're wet, then you're going to want to place a sheet of plastic over the starter tray, and then go ahead and poke a few holes in the plastic wrap for a small amount of airflow. You can also use a humidity dome for that, and I'll put a link in the description below if you want to find a good humidity dome. So keep the seedlings moist and at 65 to 75 degrees, so pretty warm for germination. And bottom soaking or using a mist sprayer to water is really helpful. And a heat mat can help you keep the temperatures up for germination. So I use the Spider Farmers heat mat, and I will put a link in the description below if you want to check that out. Now it may take up to 3 weeks for the celery to germinate, so don't give up. Just keep the soil moist and warm. And when they come up, they are almost microscopic. So when you're looking at your seedling tray, be sure that you go over it really carefully to be able to see the little celery plants that come up. All right, number 3 is once the tiny seeds are up, you want to place the tray under your grow lights for 12 hours on and 12 hours off. You want to keep the temperatures between 60 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. They're going to grow really slow and will be in the seedling tray for up to 4 to 6 weeks. Now, once the seeds have 2 adult leaves or more, you can transplant them into a pot. Number 4, transplant the seedlings into the organic potting soil. I like the Happy Frog potting soil. This company understands how important the soil biology is for our plants' health. So I'll put a link in the description below if you want to find that. Now, if you want to make your own potting soil, Go ahead and use our family secret seedling mix recipe and just add 1 cup of compost for every 8 cups of seedling soil mix. Now at this stage, the nutrients that came in the seed is used up and the plant is now needing a source of nutrients in the soil. So compost is going to work best. So if you don't have your own compost, I would use the Espoma Organic Land and Sea Gourmet Compost or worm castings. I like the Brute Organic Worm Castings. You can find links to the compost and worm castings in the description below. Now, anytime you are selecting an amendment for your garden, make sure it has the OMRI listing or another organic certification. This is important for the biology that lives around your plant roots and helps your plants to be strong and healthy. All right, once the celery is potted up, water and place the celery plants back under the grow lights with the 12 hours on and 12 hours off. And once the celery plants are 3 inches tall, you can start to harden them off by putting them outside during the day and then back in at night. Also keep them moist as you are hardening them off to be outside. Number 5, once you are on your average last frost date, check the 10-day forecast. If there are no freezing nights, you can plant the celery plants outside. Now, celery likes to grow in the shade in a very high nutrient sandy loam soil. Now, if a storm is going to come through and freeze the plants, I would cover them with a frost blanket. So if you'd like to learn 3 low-tech frost protection systems for tomatoes and frost tender seedlings, you can check out our video. I'll put a link in the description below. So celery, it's a bit tricky to get started, but once you have it up and going, it's fairly easy to grow. So put it in the sandy loam soil that it likes and grow it in a shady area and you are set. You know, I harvest the outer leaves and then leave the plant in the ground to make more leaves. I can harvest off my celery plants for up to 1 year if I frost protect them. Now, if you want to see us grow celery, you can jump into our High Performance Garden show. There are over 300 episodes for you to learn from, and it's free, it's online. You can find it on our website at thelivingfarm.org/high-performance-garden-show or click the link below.